I have something on my mind that I wanted to talk about. I guess it's kind of hard to explain because not everybody's going to relate, but sometimes you get those questions and you're like, oh, if they only knew. If they only knew. I'm in traffic, so I have time to chat about it. But I get questions and comments from people sometimes about how, like, oh, if you run so much, doesn't it make it easier to lose the weight? Or, different things like that, which some of it is true, some of it's valid. The part that I don't really talk about is how it was running before taking a GLP-1. So you have to understand, the more you run, and we're not just talking about like, oh, let me go run for 30 minutes on the treadmill, at the gym, which is still great, right? But as somebody who runs and trains for longer distances, the more you run, the more you train, the hungrier you are. I kid you not, I was always hungry. I could eat lunch and 30 minutes later I'd be hungry again. And it didn't really matter if it was like something that was nutrient, like however you want to label it. Like if it was healthy, if it was junk food, if it was loaded with protein, I could eat a, rotisserie chicken with green beans, whatever, and I would still 30 minutes later, 40 minutes later, I'm looking for snacks. Your metabolism goes nuts when you run. At least mine did. And so when people ask those questions, it sometimes like sparks like a flame and you're like, oh, but if you only knew, like, yeah, you can definitely lose weight with running, but a lot of it is the food, but it's not so much like what you're eating. And that sounds terrible because like, yeah, you can eat more. You should still eat healthy, but you're always hungry and it never goes away. So you're constantly just like eating all the time. And you tell yourself like, oh yeah, well, I just ran 10 miles so I can eat X, Y, and Z. Or, oh yeah, I have that 5-mile run in the morning so I can just eat X, Y, and Z tonight. You start to use it as like an excuse in your mind to eat more food. And you can't just turn off the hunger. It doesn't go away. And so it's like you take that as somebody who doesn't run, right? Who doesn't even, it doesn't appeal to them. They do other things, or maybe they don't do anything at all. And you add the normal food noise. So I had the normal food noise of everyday life and just like the normal hunger stacked with the hunger from running. I was always hungry and it was like tenfold. It was amplified. And I don't know how to really explain that to somebody who doesn't do the same level of activity as I do. It's really hard to explain. But yeah, like running will help you lose weight, sure. But you will also eat more, especially if you're not in a situation where you have something that helps you with the cravings or that helps you with being like obsessed with food and always eating. So I don't know if any of this is making sense. I just wanted to like clarify, yes, it can help and it does help, but it's not for everybody. Some people hate it, and that's fine. Like it's not everybody's cup of tea. So no, I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, go run, it'll help you lose weight. Like no, because I think I've mentioned this in another video. I know I mentioned it in some of my comments, but I train consistently and fully for a 50K race, which is 32 miles, a full consistent training cycle with cross training and running and everything. I did not lose a pound. I sat at probably like 180 to 185 pounds the whole entire time. And I was in shape. That's my fastest 50K to date. Like it was a great run and it was a great training cycle, but I didn't lose a pound. And I wasn't eating junk food the entire time because I'm a firm believer that like when you're working out and doing all the things, like, hell no, I'm not about to waste that workout and go, eat like crap. Like I want it to matter. Did I have my days where I ate pizza or, had a couple extra cookies or ice cream? Sure. I'm not perfect. I don't want to be. I love my moments where I can indulge, but I didn't eat horribly and I didn't lose a pound. So sometimes we can do everything and check every box and make sure that we're giving it 100% and still the scale will not budge. Did I gain muscle? Sure. I'm sure I did. But we're talking about like a 16-week training plan, a couple of months, a few months here. I may have like lost weight, but like at the end of it all, I was still at the same weight I was when I started. The goal wasn't to lose weight at that point though. The goal was to train and, be fully prepared for this race. But I just use it as an example for sometimes when people are like, well, it should make it easier, but it doesn't. It doesn't make it easier. And now I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum where it's like, oh man, I have to run all these miles and I have to make sure I eat all this food. So it's super hard to wrap my brain around it. The mental side of it has been such a battle for me. And then I have the battle with the thirst. But I've talked about all that already. But I just want to, I guess, provide like some clarity about like the amount of exercise. Sometimes you can exercise at the gym and do all the things, and it's still, your body will rebel. I know somebody else, and she's like, she trains for triathlons, so she swims, bikes, and runs, and still battles with her weight. It is such a like made up fairy tale that everybody has in their mind, that society's given us, that like, oh, if you do, you know, more exercise and just eat less, you'll lose weight, which sometimes is true, but it just comes right back, or you don't lose anything at all. Like, it's complete and utter crap. And it's wild that people still believe that, but I think that it's just the people who don't know any better. I think that it's the people who haven't experienced it, who haven't gone through the extreme measures of doing more and eating less and not seeing anything happen, or seeing it come off and then come back tenfold. It's not that like you stopped doing more and eating more, like you started eating more. Sometimes you're still doing the same thing and your body just like fights to get back to where it was. I mean, that is the obesity. That is the battle of the weight. Your body will continuously, you know, keep trying to do these other things. So, I don't know. I'm gonna hop off my soapbox, but that's all I had to say about that. Just a short 5-6 minute blurb of my thoughts around it. But I hope everybody's having a lovely Wednesday. Shoot me some ideas for content, guys. I don't know what to come on here and talk about sometimes. And the easiest place for me to make videos is in the car, because when I'm home, I'm full-fledged mama mode. And when I'm not home, I'm typically at work or I'm out running. So it's hard for me sometimes, unless it's the weekend, which is when, you know, I have a little bit more free time. But sometimes I just be wanting to relax, y'all. So it is a little bit tough to find time outside of my vehicle to make videos, but I'm gonna keep trying. It's been so fun to try and like connect and build here, so I'm gonna keep going for it. But you guys enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Have a fantastic rest of the week, and I'm sure I'll be back in touch on the weekend. Bye.